Hey, this is 777. I'm going to cover doing some replay analysis for Edenhorde's Eclipse game. So this is a game between me and Anthony, um, and it seems like I'm going first. Yeah, I'm definitely going first. I can tell because I have one diamond there. Right now, like my thinking is, I know the sequence of diamonds. It typically goes like I start with one. Next turn, I'll get two more, which means I would have three total if I didn't spend one, and so on and so forth. It keeps inclining linearly from there. So what you can do is you can kind of like map out your strategies based on what cards you have in your hand, your opponent has, and then what you expect to get in terms of diamonds for the next turn. All that to say, like, I'll make it really simple here. I don't have any good three diamond cards in my hand right now. So I'm going to go ahead and spend that one resource. I also don't have any, like, cards that could be played, fairly aggressively in future turns. So I'm just going to go ahead and spend that one resource on the swordsman. I think probably the most classic card in this game. And yeah, so you'll see me go ahead and just drop that down. Oh, I actually didn't. Why did I not do that? Huh. Okay. Interesting. I forgot my thinking behind this. I think maybe because my hand was probably so bad that I was going to wait and hope for another card, which is a little bit risky. Or maybe I was trying to save up for this warlord. That might be what I'm doing here. Either way, I don't think it was very smart of me, and probably one of the reasons why I end up losing this game. Anthony going second, he gets two diamonds. So he has two swordsmen in his hand, which are one cost each. Then he has a shadow stalker with haste, which I believe is four cost. The replay is a little cut off here just because of how Edenhorde's replay is. Maybe that's something that devs can work on, is just making it so you can see both hands there. So he basically has two options, or he has multiple options, but the two of his options are place both swordsmen down, maybe like one on each end, or just go for the vanguard. Uh, at this point, like, who knows? Like, two swordsmen down can cover like two different spaces on the board, which might be useful. But the Vanguard can go ahead and threaten more damage next turn, and it takes more of there's more limited pool of monsters that can or cards that can actually knock out this Vanguard. So that might be what he's thinking there. Um, I probably would have also went with the Vanguard because you can use the swordsman like in kind of mid game and early game to deflect or take less damage than you would otherwise to essentially buy you turns. So I think he made the right move there. Let's see. So let's go to the next turn, and then I get lucky. Am I putting a card down? How does this replay work? So I do get a three cost monster, the Warden with haste, which is is I would say it's the best three prizer to put on turn two, but it's definitely good enough considering my hand was terrible. I don't see myself playing it though, so am I just going like super risky? I don't know what I was thinking here if I don't play it. Okay, yeah, I was just going straight for this Warden, so it looks like I got hyper focused on this, which I don't think is a good idea at all in hindsight. So Anthony also goes ahead and saves his. So he's got three. He saves his. He drew the Stonebreaker, which I think has four cost. Doesn't have haste, which is important because it'll take a turn for that defensive card to actually go into play. So I don't think that it's a very good card in general as it is. So I would have actually, if I was Anthony, I would have gone and put at least one of these swordsmen down. I can't remember exactly how much he would get next turn in terms of diamonds, but I think he would have more than enough to play a Shadow Stalker in the event that I put the Warlord down. So I'd go ahead and put one more of these swordsmen down to just continue to threaten damage. But seems like, by the way that I was playing, he's not going to need it. Okay, yeah, so I finally go and put the Warden down, not knowing that he's got just the auto kill in his hand. But at least I get 4 damage down. I guess if you do the calcs by putting these guys down, I would have had less than 4 damage on the board by this point in time anyway. So, maybe that's what I was thinking. Either way, it was big risk because if he had filled up his board more, I'd be in a lot more trouble than what I actually end up being in. But whatever, he got lucky. So I just went with the big balls play, which if I were you, I probably wouldn't do. I'm probably gonna get punished for this, to be honest. Um, so yeah, let's go to Anthony's turn. He does. He goes ahead and knocks it out immediately with the Shadow Stalker. So my plan goes to shit, and now I have an empty board. So like board state is really really important in this game for like continuing momentum. So the fact that I just saved up all my diamonds to put one card down that I knew could easily be knocked out by the Shadow Stalker, and I was just betting that he didn't have it in his hand, which was a terrible bet. But in reality, what you want to do is kind of like make the optimal choices given the knowledge that you have and your expected diamonds in the next turn. And the current board state to maintain a strong enough board state to like build momentum towards the middle turns and the later turns, which I definitely didn't, and Anthony's seems to be doing against me. So here we go. We'll move over to me. So I have 4 diamonds. I go ahead and put 1 Vanguard, 1 Swordsman down. The thinking here is obviously Vanguard knocks out Vanguard, and then Swordsman, it'll take a turn, but Shadow Stalker is a really deadly card, but it only does 1 damage. So sometimes you can just leave it be and it doesn't matter. I think my thinking here is to next turn do 1 damage to it so that it has 2 left, and then that opens the card pool for a lot of different cards that can do 2 damage to it to knock it out and get it out of the way. Honestly, I probably should have just left it there, and I probably should have just left it there and put more swordsmen down, but maybe I did the math at the time and would have enough for these royal protectors. And I should have just kept threatening damage because we're at 11 and 11 right now, and if I knock out Vanguard, that's 2 damage extra on the board for me, and I have 2 more swordsmen in play that are attacking directly. Then I can outpace him, even though it's not likely going to happen because he has cards also. Like that probably was the optimal route, and just leaving the Shadow Stalker there for later games to hit with a bigger card. If I got another Warden or if I got a Berserker like Anthony, then I could have just KO'd it in 1 hit. But instead I didn't because I was probably tilted on the on the fact that he knocked me out immediately, and I will probably lose this game. So let's see what he goes ahead and drops the Berserker down. Right, there's no real threats for it. Costs a lot, but does a huge amount of damage. If I don't have answers for this thing, then I'm in like serious trouble. He's still got a handful of swordsmen, so that's not really good RNG for him. Besides that, no need to put the Stonebreaker down. This seems like a really easy decision. Just throw the Berserker down in the open field and then hope it sticks. Yeah, seems like a pretty straightforward decision on his part. I go ahead and drop the Royal Protector. That's a pretty obvious one. It's going to get knocked out immediately, but again, it's just buying me turns. I do the 1 damage to the Shadow Stalker, and as you can see, I drew this Lancer the next turn, which does 2 damage, so I can knock it out if I chose to do that, and that was probably my thinking there. So let's see, I have 8 life points. He has 11. These things change. They can change dramatically towards the end game, so I would still consider that a close game, although board state wise Anthony still has me beat because he has the pressure of the Berserker, and I don't know what other cards he has in his hand. Drops the Brute. I would have probably put that in the open area because he's up on points and has so much threat here. I would have put the Brute in the open just to immediately deal another 3 damage next turn. So I only have 8 left. 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. He threatens to kill me literally next turn, and if I don't do something about the Brute. So I would have just bypassed the Vanguard, not caring about that damage, and threatened the immediate attack, which forces me, knowing or not, to try to defend against that. So I would have probably made a little bit of a different decision there and went more aggressive, but this is fine anyway. He's pretty in control here. But yeah, I don't know. Not knowing what I had, I think the move there would have put the Brute in the open area, just threaten damage. Let's see what I do. I get the Shadow Stalker. That's a super good RNG pull there, or I would have lost. Yeah, pretty standard stuff. I ended up doing what I recommended Anthony should do. So instead of going for the KO on the on Anthony Shadowstalker, I went and put the Lancers to get maximum damage on him, to continue to threaten kills. I know that his Brute is going to knock out my Vanguard next turn, and I know that I have defense against it, so I'm going to continue to push, and try to claw back as much damage as I can, while blocking this little bit of damage he does from the Shadowstalker. I'll chip away at this. I'm not really, in the grand scheme of things, I don't care about 1 damage as much as I care about 3 or 5, so that's like what I chose there. He puts a Lancer in front. So I would never put a Lancer in front of another Lancer. I think this was I think that this was a misplay. Yeah, this is definitely a misplay. So Lancer has this effect where once you attack it, you do 1 damage to yourself. So the Lancer is essentially killing itself by attacking another Lancer. So if I attack with this Lancer, Lancer does 1 damage to the opponent. So the actual optimal play is if whoever attacks this is going to get knocked out anyway, you put the Swordsman over there. The Swordsman knocks out the Lancer. Then the Lancer attacks the Shadowstalker. The Shadowstalker has 3 health. So that 3 health goes to 1 health. And then when the Shadowstalker return attacks the Lancer, it deals another damage and knocks them both out. So yeah, in this case, you're almost always supposed to almost always supposed to put the Lancer in front of the Shadowstalker. I don't understand why you would do anything else besides that. Maybe he just thought like it doesn't really matter. But the game's actually getting closer than it definitely looked in the beginning, and that could come back to bite him for sure. Okay, so this is a risk. Yeah, this is me like trying to be aggressive and continue to threaten damage in the long term. The conservative play here would have been to drop one of these defensive guys down. Probably want to save the way I'm thinking about it is like if he just ends up clearing my board. Let's replay that. Yeah. Okay, so he drops those. Boom, boom. Yeah. Okay, so I just go ahead and put this down there because I know next turn I'll knock it out. And then I know next turn, I'm probably thinking next turn I can just go ahead and knock out this Shadowstalker with with this Warden. These 2 guys have like this ability that this sword that you see, which makes it allow these guys to move across any open spaces on the board. So I guess my assumption is like once these guys get knocked out, I'll have some defensive power to move across the board, which like might buy me a turn or so. Meanwhile, I'm just chipping away at this Shadowstalker. Oh, it looks like I actually might knock out this Shadowstalker this turn. Yeah, so I just go ahead and put the Vanguard in front of the Brute. This is a pretty like economical trade. Little bit riskier in the long run because I'm going to take 3 damage from that Brute, and that's like I kind of don't need that. So the main risk here is if he gets another like a Berserker who has a Berserker or like a Blood Fury, I think is what it's called, who has both the abilities haste, which allows to attack immediately, but also has the ability, I don't know what it's called, but it allows you to do the difference from your attack and defense. From your attack, your opponent's card's defense as damage to your opponent directly. So that is a huge risk. So if he just were to put like, if he were to just put like replace the Swordsman for another Berserker, then I would lose the game. And I think that was just a calculated risk that I took right there. And he gets a Berserker, but it doesn't have haste. I didn't realize in this game it doesn't have haste, but that would have immediately lost me the game. Yeah, so the Lancers get knocked out, like I said. You should have done that with the Swordsman and then placed this Shadowstalker there. I would have replaced the Berserker with the Shadowstalker and threaten more damage in the next game. Or in the next turn, sorry. So still looking terrible for me. Yeah, he's got Bonebreaker, swords, this. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a close game. I might actually be able to pull this off. I don't remember who wins this or not. But yeah, we're going to see how I play this out. Yeah, put the Ward in there, knock out the Shadowstalker, knock out the Berserker. And yeah, I'm going to take 2 damage, and I'm going to threaten 3 damage on the next turn. So it's going to be close. We'll see. he goes ahead and has to drop his guy down. And then, yeah, so I'm back to 2. I'm down to 2 damage. He's got 12 diamonds, so like you totally should just put this swordsman down, or this swordsman down. Like there's no reason not to put these guys down. Continue to threaten damage, and you're gonna have plenty of diamonds. Like you're not gonna be running out of diamonds for next turn, and you can always just like remove them. You can't see it right now, but there's an X option. If something better comes and you want to replace that something better, you can do that. So if I were Anthony, I'm putting the swordsman down because it doesn't matter other way. Maybe he's like bluffing his hand or something like that. But I just would put them down. Obviously, got to put the royal protector there, and then I threaten the win on the next turn, 2-2. Did I have enough for the warden? It might have been smart to put the warden down, just to make it a 1. I don't know. Yeah, it might have been smart to put the warden down there. I don't know. I don't know. Either way, I decided to put this guy down. This is a terrible card without haste, but whatever. Sometimes you got to just play the cards you have, and then we'll see what Anthony puts down. See, so he's got to put the swordsman down anyway, right? Like you should have done that last turn. Then you'd be attacking right now. Let's see, and then maybe I just get lucky here. No luck, so I think he wins. Yeah. No, I got the win. Yeah. So I did end up winning this. There was, yeah. So if Anthony put the swordsman down the turn before, then he would actually have won the game. So there's definitely like some misplays on both of our ends in this game. I think it ended up being like really close and probably really fun. This was like probably a week ago or something like that, but yeah, I mean that's my replay analysis. I can't really remember everything that I said, but I remember in the turn before the last, Anthony should have definitely put those swordsmen down because there's no real reason not to do that, and that actually ended up costing him the game. So yeah, that's one of my. I plan. Hopefully, I'll end up doing more of these. So that's one of them.